Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the WDW Fan Zone Show. I am Stuart, joined by Kurt, John, Darlene, and Jess. And tonight, we're going to tell you how to uncomplicate a complicated planning trip to Walt Disney World. But first, we've got Jess with the latest and maybe even the greatest Walt Disney World news.
Hello, everybody. All right, just so you know, the Disney Springs boats are currently down, potentially because of low water levels. This includes the Saratoga Springs, Old Key West, and Port Orleans boats. Please find alternative transportation to Disney Springs at this time and make sure you always check to see if transportation is down before you head to any destination, wherever you're staying, or any monorails or skyliners, anything like that can be down because of weather or other reasons. So make sure you check before you get there. For Disney's Hollywood Studios' 35th anniversary this Wednesday, May 1st, there will be an anniversary show at Theater of Stars at 11 a.m., anniversary merchandise at Stage 1 at Grand Avenue, and Disney will be offering a virtual queue for this merchandise for adult and youth apparel, collectibles, and limited release pins. You must have a park ticket and reservation if applicable. And the virtual queue opens at 7 a.m. The virtual queue does not guarantee access to the event. Also on May 1st, VI pass holder days will begin, including merchandise, discounts, access to the lounge, photo opportunities, and much more. Pass holders, check out My Disney Experience for the full list of offerings. Do not forget to check park hours before planning your trip and check them again once you arrive to see if they've changed, because they always do. And the Walt Disney World area is expecting mid to high 80s and sunny skies all week. It will be a beautiful and probably dry week, so very enjoyable. And that's all I have for today.
Great. Thank you, Jess. Appreciate it. Have a great week.
Thank you so much, you all too, and see you real soon.
All right. So we're going to get into the main topic of the show this week, which is how to plan an uncomplicated trip to Walt Disney World. We know it can be very daunting, but we're going to have some advice, I guess, tips, whatever you want to call it, to help you have the best trip you can possibly have, or plan the best trip you could possibly have to Walt Disney World and uncomplicate what appears to be the complicated. So I'm going to go clockwise around what I can see on my screen for who's there, and that would be Kurt.
All right. So first thing first, when you're starting to plan a Disney trip, if you're worried about how busy the crowds are going to be, do a quick Google search for Disney World crowd calendar.
I never heard of Gurgle.
Gurgle it up. Gurgle it up. You want me to gurgle it?
Google's competitor. So, Gurgle.
Gurgle. So go to Ask Jeeves and do a Disney World crowd calendar search. There's several of them out there. They're pretty. They base them off of previous years on that date and what it's like around the same general area. So again, if you wanted to go with a little bit where it's quieter, we were just talking pre-show about how we were all surprised it's currently like a crowd level 7 because there's areas that still have spring break. I never would have thought for this late that it would be that, but apparently it is. So make sure you double check that, because that will affect the price of your tickets as well, as we'll get into later.
Yeah, so I think it's very important when you are planning a trip, for just to piggyback on, or to add to what you're saying, is you have to decide when to go. And I think Kirk gave you some pretty good advice on determining when you should go. Sometimes it's out of your control. If you have kids in school,
correct.
And you can only go certain times of the year.
Not just the crowd calendar, but look for the temperatures and the rain as well, because those are statistically available also. I have a friend that wants to go mid-August, and it's going to be like walking on the sun, but that's their time available, and they know that going in at least.
And, I would say don't worry about the rain, because it generally rains for a few minutes and stops, and it's all good. All right, John.
This is such a tough thing, because planning can save you time and stress. So it's kind of a trade-off, and that's kind of where I see it, is what can you do to have some planning without over planning.
Right.
And one of the things that I think of is awareness. So certainly Walt Disney World is huge. There are 4 theme parks, 2 water parks. There's the Disney Springs, there's
Golf.
the golf, and there's pools and mini golf, and there are so many things going on, lots of different kinds of transportation. So I think it's helpful to have some awareness. And one way that I would suggest that you could gain some of that awareness, so when you're there, you don't have to struggle with, well, what am I even trying to do? Is to work with somebody ahead of time, either a travel planner, if you're going to work with a travel planner. We've certainly talked before about how there are good travel planners out there that are no additional cost to you, and they can do a lot of the work for you if you tell them the kinds of things that you like. So they can do a lot of the work for you. And you can also work with or talk to friends and family members who have been there before and maybe have some similar likes to you. We've talked about that before. So to try to help manage that awareness ahead of time by talking to people who are very familiar.
Yeah, and John, just to add to what you're saying, I think it's important that if you are going to use a travel planner, to use an experienced and knowledgeable Walt Disney World travel planner, and one who does not charge a fee for their services. They can make your planning much, much easier, if not very easy. And we always, we don't have a sponsor for the show at all anymore, but we always recommend the one we've always used to plan trips to Walt Disney World, and that's Mouse Fan Travel, who used to be our sponsor. And we still recommend them because they're great. So, if you need a travel planner, you cannot go wrong with using Mouse Fan Travel. But whoever you use, it really has to be an experienced Walt Disney World travel planner. All right, Darlene.
Well, there went everything that I had on my list. So what I'm going to go into next is do your research. Look on the website. The Walt Disney World website is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
There is everything there that you need. You just need to take the time before your trip to review what hotel you want to stay in, what you want to eat. Think of what your children and your husband or your spouse or your partner, whoever you're going with, your parents, what they want to do. If you want to play golf, do you want to lug your golf clubs? If you want to go to the water parks, make sure you make a plan to stay 5 days, not just 4 days, because even though you might think there's a park that's going to be a half a day, it might not be a half a day. You might find that you really want to do Rafiki's Planet Watch and draw a picture. That takes time. You want to ride the Walt Disney World Railroad around Magic Kingdom. That takes time. So these are things that, we could go into a whole probably show about how long it takes to ride rides and stuff one time.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what we used to do. We used to think ahead of time of which parks we wanted to go to, what rides we wanted to do. And so we knew. And did we want to take a character breakfast in? Do we want to do quick services? We never packed snacks back in the day. I know a lot of people do now. That's an option. But that's one of the things that I can think of is use the Walt Disney World website. It's the best site. It's their site. They have everything you need right there to do a plan.
All right. Thank you, Darlene. Now, what I was going to talk about now was the next step that you really have to do. But because Darlene brought up a whole bunch of different things in there, I'm going to use one that I would have used later on now. What you need to do is, and it's part of what Darlene said, create a wish list of things that you and your travel party would like to do each day and at each park. But understand that you're not going to be able to do and see everything. So where Darlene's telling you to, take an extra day where you might have only done 4 days, stay there 5, you might not be able to. So as
Mhm.
long as you go in there with the understanding that you're not going to be able to do everything and see everything, just come up with that wish list, like what's most important, from what's most important to the least important of things you want to do, and work that into your touring, as they call it, of the parks or Disney World property. All right, Kurt.
All right, yeah, she was very broad in everything that you just said. Sorry,
Yeah, I know,
Darlene. And
I know.
like I was much more specific on all those things. So like when you're researching your menus, research the prices of what it is. You have a
Yep.
set budget depending on who you're going with. And you might say, oh, I really want to go and see, somewhere, not realizing it's $55 a person as long as you're over the age of 10 for a character meal or something like that. And that's for a breakfast. It might be even more than that. So you got to really, really, really look at the menu and make sure there's something on that menu that everyone will like, anyone with a food allergy or anything like that, because they list all those things available and they'll break it all down: gluten, shellfish, everything else. So definitely look closer at that. Likewise, as far as hotels, you have to be careful. If you're relying on Disney transportation and you're relying on going to one of the resorts with a Skyliner, if you are going during a stormy season, the minute they see lightning, those puppies are shutting down. They're getting people off, and you are not getting back on, which means that the transportation of buses is the only way people can get around there, and that's going to be very difficult. So if you are using your own vehicle or renting a car, you're going to open up yourself to many more resorts that you could be staying at versus otherwise, if you had to rely on them. So if you have to rely on the buses, you might want to, or rely on Disney transportation, think things through, look at what the weather's going to be like, and see how that's going to happen. I had a friend that waited an hour for the Skyliner, and it shut down. So that's why they were waiting for it. So then they were waiting for a bus, and I think they were staying at Art of Animation. They couldn't get back. They could have walked back to Art of Animation faster than what they had to wait for the bus. And this is from Disney Hollywood Studios. So certain things to consider. Best part is they had their minivan down there with them. They just like, let's take the Skyliner. We all get caught with it once. Yep.
Something. Oh, sorry, Kurt. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, Darlene was saying something. She got her hand up.
Go ahead, Darlene.
Okay, it
Are we in
just
class?
well, it's a good way to say, hey, I got something to add there. So just remember, if you're using your car and you don't have an annual pass or that, you might have to pay a fee to park at the parks.
No, you don't.
Yes.
Not if you're staying on site.
Well, right, but you should clarify that. If you're staying on site, no. If you're not staying on site, Darlene is absolutely
You will
right.
have to.
Right.
Well, yeah,
And
but
it's
again, the only way
$30
you get there
a day.
otherwise is through a bus.
Right.
The only way you get there is through a bus. So we're talking about
Right.
things that are staying on site. You're not going to have to pay if you're using your own car if you're staying on site. It's
Okay,
always
you know
been
what?
if you're staying off site that you'd have to pay if you're using your car.
I'm going to jump in here because there's a couple of things I think we should tell our listeners and viewers that, when you're planning a trip, we've mentioned using an experienced travel planner or talking to friends. You've got to decide where you're staying. So whether it's on property or off property. So that's a must. Figure out where you're going to stay.
Right.
Once
And
you
if
do
you're staying
that, things
off
will fall
property,
into place a little easier.
yeah, if you're staying off property, there are fees for parking.
Yep. But, then you are limited in how you get to the parks. It could be a bus that's from the resort if it's off property or hotel, or it could be your own car or a rental car. So you are, or Uber or Lyft. So it limits you a little bit. All right, John.
I'm going to put two things together. And the one big thing is you heard Darlene talk about the website to understand a lot about the different parts of Walt Disney World, but to navigate it and to make reservations, you want to have your My Disney experience
Correct.
worked out ahead of time. And you can do it on the website or you can do it in the app, but you need to have an account. if you have, well,
And the account's free.
the
Yeah.
account is
Right.
absolutely free, right? And as we've said before, if you're going to have tickets to the parks, you should buy them ahead of time so you're not taking time up at the ticket stand while you're in front of the park. Have your tickets, have them linked, link your family and friends that are traveling with you, and have some understanding of how the app works, what it can do before you get there so you're not fumbling.
Great points.
So you want to understand it ahead of time, and then to go along with it. So some of the big things you can do, one of the biggest things you can do with the app related to planning is dining.
Hmm.
So my suggestion is to avoid having too much complication with dining is pick one or two restaurants that you would like to experience on your trip. Get those set up ahead of time in My Disney Experience. And then from there, try to do things a little bit more on the fly. So you can use the app to help you make some game time decisions. So you can look to see where there might be availability, if there's a walk up, and not have to have it planned ahead of time, but you need the app to have some of that information to help you know, I'm in Epcot, I didn't reserve something today. Are there even restaurants that have availability? And you can make the reservation right there.
Hmm.
If you see there's a reservation in the next half hour, you're not planning ahead, but you're doing it real time on the fly. So those two things together is, if you want to simplify the planning, don't plan out every meal you want to have. Have the app, have it ready to go, have a couple of things ahead of time just because maybe they're the ones you might most want to visit, and then go with the flow and try to make some other reservations more on the fly.
And John, like I've been doing all night here. All right, but I'm going to add a little bit more to that. You have to decide if you're going to plan on having table service meals or if just counter service meals. Either way, that app is great to use.
Exactly.
Also, if you had, and I can tell you, John, when our kids were little and we were planning trips to Walt Disney World, we liked having table service meals for dinner. Sometimes we would switch it up and have one for lunch and a counter service for dinner, but we always planned ahead for it because you have small children with you. You don't want to have to scurry around looking for restaurants where they may or may not have availability. So while I love what you said, and that's how we do it now, that we never make any reservations for dinner. We go to the parks, and especially on Epcot, we always wind up getting in somewhere. Be an apple. I think it's
Well,
just
yeah,
lucky.
you got to
Pizza window.
look.
Yeah, it's never
it's the
open.
wrong kind of pizza.
Oh, it is when I
Look
was there.
look 60 days out, or
Mhm.
like right away 60 days out.
Yep.
If there's something you absolutely want to get into, or else every morning start checking again, check again, check again. 24 hours from when you're going to the resort, you might even find an opening because people have to. They've got 24 hours without losing their deposit, so they might cancel it 24 hours out or just outside of 24 hours out. So watch for those openings to occur first thing in the morning, 24
Yeah,
hours.
well,
away
and they
from-
can cancel them closer now too.
Yeah.
without a fine.
Oh yeah, you can do it same day now.
How close can it be without a fine though?
I forget what it is.
Because I know there's been instances where people they try to cancel it right at the last second, and we're told no, you still have.
You can do it same day. I don't remember how far.
Yeah,
I
I'm
haven't
sure it's
had
not
to
last
do it.
second, but yeah,
Yeah, maybe 12 hours or something.
or 6 hours. Who knows?
Yeah.
What I would do, if you're using a travel plan, ask them what Disney's policy is if they know, or call Disney and find out. Get it right from the horse's mouth. But call a few times because you might get 3 different. No, I'm kidding. All right, Darlene.
Oh, me already? Oh,
Yep,
geez.
you were ready.
Oh, it's 2 hours.
2 hours. I
2
just saw
hours.
that.
Okay.
$10 per person cancellation fee within 2
Okay.
hours.
That's nice.
That's not
actually,
bad.
I think that's very nice of Disney to do that. I would have had them do it, like at least 3 or 4 hours, except an emergency.
Well, but I think they're finding, because the guests are getting very skilled and comfortable with using the My Disney Experience app. The same thing that Kurt was just saying. You go out and look, people are going out and looking, and they're finding things last minute, and somebody canceled 2 hours ahead and they're picking it up. So I
Mhm.
don't think it's hurting them.
No.
There are some that you have to have the firework dessert parties, things like that, some special occasion things.
Right.
Victoria and Albert's, it's 5 days out. So there are other ones that are separate. Most of them, though, most of the regular restaurants are within 2 hours then.
I think people that are booking Victoria and Albert's know in advance that they're going there because they already got their attire chosen and everything. And they're looking forward to
Just
that.
giving you the example in case
Mhm.
something happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just can't make it.
Yeah.
Hey, Darlene, you're up.
Another thing to do for planning ahead is always think of the time of year you're going. If you're going during a marathon week or uh, a festival week, that there might be extra crowds. So that means your lines are going to be longer. So you're going to want to look at that as well to see
That's
how
the crowd calendar.
Right,
you're.
that was one of the first things Kurt mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it
but
took me
a lot
long
of
to-
people don't have a crowd calendar, and they don't
You can
want to
look them.
do a.
That's what I said. You look it up online.
Yeah. I know a friend of mine has one. Touring Plans is a good one
Mhm.
that she uses a lot. But if you don't want to pay for the service, then you are basically, you want to look at the time of year you're going and what else is going on at the world.
Okay.
There are free ones available. That was
Oh, good.
yeah. They're touring
A
plans
lot
is
more than
free.
when we were planning. I don't use those now.
Yeah, touring plans
But
is free.
Darlene, you live down here. There are people who don't,
Yeah.
and they still
Yeah.
use them.
Right. I literally was just looking on these this week. So
If
touring
it's
plans, and there's
names
another
of
one
it,
that my sister
great.
uses.
Okay, can we have this debate another time, please?
I'm just letting you know.
No, I understood. I appreciate it. I think this is crucial. It goes along to what you mentioned earlier, Kurt, and what Darlene just mentioned. Now, it's picking the park you're going to each day is crucial to your trip. If you're going to be there from, let's say, Sunday through Friday, going to the Magic Kingdom on Sunday might not be your best choice. So you want to see, you want to look at if you're staying on, whether you're staying on or off property, you want to see when the extra or early magic hours are, or park hours, the late park hours are, and see what the crowd levels are by doing simple research. Your travel planner might know that too, and they can help guide you as far as which park to go to each day. If you plan on going to every park, there is historical data out there online available free that you can find to tell you at the time of year you're going, what parks are the most crowded on that particular day. So that can help you out. And that's a little bit of research, but it shouldn't be a terrible amount that's going to take up a lot of your time to find. You should be able to find that readily available to you on your computer. All right, Kurt.
Yeah, with that, traditionally Mondays are really bad at the Magic Kingdom.
Yep.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays are the worst days to go to Animal Kingdom, probably because they go to Epcot and the Magic Kingdom first, and then Disney and Hollywood Studios, and then Animal Kingdom, one of those last ones. Tuesday and Wednesdays at Animal Kingdom for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's crazy, but you're right.
Just an FYI, sometimes packages aren't your best deal. Right now, Disney's running a sale, 30% off of the hotels, and you can add tickets on. I found, searching for a friend, that at the time when he's going, if he actually purchased tickets separately, they would be a better deal than purchasing the package. Likewise, they've got that $99 per day that's out there right now. That is the starting at price. So if you try to do that in, start May, June, it's going to be higher. It might be $129 per day. You have to wait until you get almost all the way to August before it gets to $99 per day. There's a day here and a day there. If you live in Florida, same thing, because Florida has a special deal going on. My sister said to buy that 4-day pass. It's like an extra $125 tacked on to the, what is it, $59 a day for Florida residents, I think it said. So you got an extra amount to tack on there on top of that price. So it's based off of what they're expecting their crowds to be. Likewise, be careful because there is a 3-day park pass that's out there that's only $89. It does not include the Magic Kingdom. So tickets will always be more expensive for the Magic Kingdom than they will for any of the other parks, because that's the main park. We get right down to it. So same thing with Genie Plus. We can talk about more about Genie Plus, and we'll talk about it, I'm sure. But the big thing, though, is just be careful with the packages. Likewise, if you see something you like it, you might want to book it. Last Sunday, I was working with a friend, and I literally watched it. The price of a resort go from one price to $40 more expensive with a refresh button, because whatever it was whatever that resort was, the prices changed that quickly because all those rooms got booked by people who were booking at night while the kids were asleep.
Yeah, thank you, Kurt. Good advice there, John.
I'm going to give 2 ideas or suggestions that they come with a cost, but they can take some pressure off when it comes to planning. The first one is to consider whether a park hopper can work for you and your party, because if you're in just one park and you're trying to organize what are the attractions you most want to get on, it's a little harder. But if you have that park hopper, you have 3 other options that you could go to if you're finding long lines or you're getting tired of being there or whatever. So having a park hopper can take some stress and pressure off. And the other one is,
Do you remember when Dish Network had the Happa?
the Happa.
Yeah, the commercial. Is it anything like that? No, it's not.
No.
Sorry, John. Go ahead.
That's okay. So the other idea or suggestion is, again, if it works for you and for your finances, to schedule a second trip, say within the next year. So when you're down there, you're trying to take it a little bit easy and not go too crazy on planning. You have that second trip coming up, and the things that you don't get a chance to get done, whether it's attractions or restaurants or characters or whatever, you have that second trip waiting for you there.
A bounce back trip.
A bounce back trip.
Yeah. Are they still offering any discounts for that? I know they stopped for a while.
Sometimes they do.
Okay.
I've seen them sometimes, but I don't remember the last one that I've seen.
Yeah, if they are giving you a discount, it should be in your resort room on the table there in a basket or wherever. It's somewhere in the resort room. All right. Yeah.
With that, though, with the park hopper, and when would it be good? When wouldn't it be good? Animal Kingdom, like every date that I've looked at, it closes at 6 o'clock. All the way down to June, middle of June, it's closing at 6 o'clock. So there would be a great opportunity, like John said, hey, we're done with Animal Kingdom. What do we want to do now? Well, you could either resort hop, or, hey, let's hop over to Epcot and see what's going on there. We'll find a meal there.
Yeah. Okay, Darlene.
Okay, so you guys already spoke about the special offers and stuff. What I'm going to talk about next is, don't forget that there's new rides and if you haven't been here in a while, you got Star Wars Land in Hollywood Studios. You have Seven Dwarfs Mine Train in Magic Kingdom. You have Guardians of the Galaxy in Epcot. So those are like 3 big things that if your family's wants to go to, you might want to plan on doing those 3 parks at that vacation.
Okay. Something else, that no one has mentioned tonight that I think is vital to a Disney World vacation: travel insurance. You
Mm.
never know when something could happen, the unexpected. You could have a flight canceled, delayed. You want to have protection for your trip. Someone unfortunately could get sick or ill, and you want that protection. So you're spending thousands of dollars on a Disney trip. Protect yourself for the little cost or low cost for travel insurance. And yes, no travel insurance company is great. They're not, but it's something to help protect your investment, because it is an investment going to the Disney World on vacation. All right, I think we're gonna do one last round here and wrap this up. So, Kurt.
Is Genie Plus absolutely necessary at all the parks? Answer is no. However, how do you get on those attractions that you really want to get onto? Rope drop. If you're staying on site, you get that extra 30 minutes early. Get there early. Show up an hour early. Get in the line. Walk through the line. Go directly to that attraction you want to go to. Unless it has a virtual queue like Guardians or Tron, you have to do that at 7 o'clock in the morning. Get in that virtual queue right away. Or you're going to be paying, I think it's $25 for Rise of the Resistance right now per person for the individual lightning lane. So that's out of my budget. We would look at rope drop, and then you might have to wait 45 minutes, but that's better than a 3-hour wait, depending on the time of year that you're going. Same thing with Flight of Passage.
Yep. Yeah, good points. John.
I'm going to suggest that you get your head in the right place. So try to minimize your expectations ahead of time for what attractions you're going to get on, how many attractions you're going to get on, what dining you're going to do. But then when things happen that are good, enjoy the serendipity. So don't overplan, don't expect too much, but magic is going to happen here, and enjoy it when it does. And especially when the cast members step in to help with it. And certainly if you do have a cast member that helps you, please be sure to recognize them.
Yeah. It's always let the magic come to you. Don't look. If you look for the magic, you're not going to find it. Let it come to you. It is there. All right, Darlene.
I don't know how it is, but you can do a cast member telling what do they call it, where they're recognizing the cast member. You can do it right on the app.
Yes,
right.
You can. We do that all the time.
Cast member compliments.
Yep.
Thank you. Sorry, Darlene, didn't mean to cut you off, but I thought that was important to point out.
He did, and I'm glad he did. But go ahead, Darlene.
I didn't hear him point it out on the app, though.
Darlene, you're up.
Well, I just wanted to make sure everybody was done before I started talking.
Go ahead. Are you ready? Go ahead. Start now. Go ahead. I'm just teasing you.
Nope, no pressure.
Okay. So the last thing I'm going to mention is just make sure you plan this trip for you and your family to have fun. Don't think we're telling you what to do, how to do it, but make sure you have fun. This is your trip. You want to enjoy it. If you think you're going to come back, don't overplan this trip. If you think this is your one and done trip, pick the most important things. I want you to have the best time of your life. I want you to see the princesses. I want you to see the parades. There's so much to do. Even the fireworks are beautiful. The Magic Kingdom is our favorite fireworks. I'm just letting you know.
Okay. Thank you, Darlene. Well, something you need to do is have flexible plans. Yes, if you're using Genie Plus or have dining reservations, those are going to be kind of set in, well, the dining reservations will be set in stone. Genie Plus can be a moving target as far as the queue goes in the lightning lane, but have flexible plans where you can pivot to do something different if things aren't going exactly the way you originally planned. Don't get crazy with it. Just, let's say, you have a lightning lane coming up at 2:00, and then it gets moved to 2:30, but your dining reservation is at 3, and you're not sure if you're going to make it. contact the restaurant, see if you can change the time or let them know you might be a little late. If you get to an attraction and there's an hour wait and that was next on your list, find another attraction and go back another time, either later in the day or try it a different day if you have the time. That would be my final official advice for this. But I do have one more to add on to something John talked about earlier, which we touched on a little bit, and that's in the Disney My Disney Experience app. Do mobile ordering. It'll save you time from getting online. Learn how to use it before you even get to the park. So when you get to the parks, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3.
And one thing with that virtual queue, before I forget, only have one person in your group try to get the queue. You cannot do multiple people.
Okay.
Pick your whole family.
Anybody else have anything they want to mention before we end this episode? Everybody got everything on their list? All right, we're out of here almost. I do want to mention, it helps us out. On YouTube, and I'm sure Apple Podcast does the same thing. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the show. It helps other people who are Disney fans find us so they can listen and or watch us. We will be back next week with a show early. We're going to do our May the 4th Be With You show next week. So tune in for the zaniness and craziness of May the 4th Be With You. All right. Oh, one more thing. I forgot something. The app, the WDW Fan Zone app that John has developed for us. Please subscribe to it if you've got an iPhone. It's available to anyone for an iPhone that has an iPhone for free. There's no charge. And we would greatly appreciate it. It helps just bring more people aware to what we're doing here and where we're going, which is straight to no,
straight to somewhere.
Yeah, straight to somewhere. I can't say the word because YouTube will not like that.
Speaking of dining, filling in with that. Speaking with dining, the dining plan isn't always the best deal either. You really got to eat a lot for it to be worth getting the dining plan, and we always ended up with extra credit. So
that's very true. Good point, Kurt.
All
right. Till next week.
Call it a day.
Be safe. Be yourself. Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
So remember, if you are flexible and you don't plan everything, you'll find out that it's fun to be free, to be on the move. And we know we haven't necessarily moved you, but we hope that we've inspired you and informed you. Good night. Hope to talk to you next week.
Have a magical night. Stay safe. Pack your sunscreen.